Jen, you there? So I'm not sure if everybody is seeing this or not. I would guess if just as a test, if you're out there and you're watching me and you're hearing my voice right now, just put in a question into the discussion um, queue just to make sure that you guys are hearing me, etc. Gotcha. So I saw someone came back and said there are 8 people by Cheryl. So at this point right now, I'm going to commence the presentation. My name is Jim Kuntz. I am the VP of Sales for RSP Systems. RSP Systems is a distributor for Capstone Microturbine. And what I wanted to do today was give you a quick overview of the title was called Cannabis Being a Growth Market for Cogeneration. This really basically is a lot also about just the energy required by a grow house and how would you as a developer or an owner look at trying to figure out some of these topics, because the energy costs typically turn out to be a dramatic component of the overall budget for a grow house, both on the installation side as well as on the ongoing side of energy consumption. So I do have a presentation I'm going to put up. So I'm going to switch screens over here to a share screen, and coming up here shortly. And moving forward from here. The presentation right there. Okay. Introductions, and then we'll talk about energy needs, on-site power solutions, and a flexible, scalable for anybody who has a grow house. Just a quick overview on who we are. Capstone Green Energy was founded back in 1988, has been a stock market traded company for about 20 plus years. Over 10,000 of these units are shipped worldwide, hundreds of millions of hours of operation, well-proven technology, and currently being used in grow houses, including cannabis, around the world. RSP Systems, we are the distributor for Capstone in Ohio, New York, and Connecticut, thus our participation in this Tri-State Expo. And basically, we can help you from beginning to end, seed to flower. We can help you with the initial analysis. We can help you with sifting through your energy loads requirements. We can do some design work. We are not an engineering firm, but we do a lot of engineering work to support your engineer of record. And obviously then after the units are installed, we would be working with you over time. So in general, the energy use intensity, which is the measure of BTUs per square foot, is exceptionally high for the grow houses. If you look at this versus any other industry, it's double what would be at a what's called a quick serve restaurant like a McDonald's. You think about how much energy is used in that kitchen because of cookers and grills and everything else. It's twice that in a grow house, heavy lighting loads and so on and so forth. So this right here is a slide that basically just describes what is the typical distribution of energy consumption in a standard cannabis grow house. Once again, this right here is simply a representation. Every facility is going to be different. Every facility is going to be unique. And there's a lot of different elements of this that we'll dive into today regarding where the energy goes and how you're using it and some of the choices that you have and how it goes. As you know, lighting is a key element in the growing process. Takes up a huge consumption of it. And then ventilation, dehumidification, cooling, another chunk. And then there's a smattering of smaller energy consumptions. But if you really look at those three, lighting, ventilation, dehumidification, and cooling, that right there represents 80 to 90% of your energy consumption in the facility, as well as a significant part of your CapEx for the systems that you need to put in place to get these things. All right. So I actually wrote a white paper on this topic. So if you'd like to get a copy of the white paper, please just follow us on LinkedIn, RSP Systems, and then we'll get your information and we'll email you a copy of the white paper. So the first part of this presentation really dives in heavily onto the contents of that white paper. Once again, just for example, when it comes to lighting, you have to pick certain colors of lighting. You have to pick certain types. Is it LED versus other types of light bulbs? Some are more expensive on the front end, but will last longer. Other types of light technologies are more conducive to growth. It also depends on what type of product you're growing. Sativa, indica, the size of the plants and whatnot. So once again, there's so many elements that have to be woven into your selection process that it's really important that whoever you're doing your design with is involved early on. The location of the facility, the heating and cooling loads of California are going to be very different than Colorado, are going to be very different to New Jersey, New York. Why? Peak temperatures, minimum temperatures, average temperatures, humidity, all those different elements will dramatically alter some of your ventilation, heating, cooling, and dehumidification loads. Once again, when it comes to the product being grown, I'd imagine that there's probably a lot of variances in there, and they'll change as time goes by. So it's also important that when we look at your grow rooms, that they have flexibility built into them for both short and long-term flexibility. One of the things that's back several years ago, 10, 15 years ago, I worked as an energy consultant, and we were doing a lot of work when the data center marketplace was really popping up. And what I predict is that the cannabis marketplace will have a similar growing pain, no pun intended. We would work with a large bank and a name brand bank, and they would be putting in a brand new 10 megawatt data center someplace in Virginia, for example. And they're building it out. We're focusing on getting the computers, the layout, hot aisles, cold aisles, all the different elements of a data center design. And then they'd go to the utility and say, okay, here I am, plug me in. There was this idea that the utility is just there ready to put a big extension cord in, plug you in, and there you go. That's not how these things work. So unfortunately, what happens here is you have to first validate that the utility has enough power available in your geography to support your construction. You then have to figure out what's the cost of getting that power from the transformers or their substations to your facility, and also the timeline. So what I'm suggesting here is, where you locate your grow house has to be strongly considered against your local utilities. I'm getting a call from Jen Wynn. Just hold on for a second. Hello, Jen. My slides are not showing? Okie dokie. All right. Well, that's not good. So apparently I'm finding out my slides are not showing. So let's see, going. Wow, doing one of those infinity things. Let me try presentation now. Jen and I, by the way, went through this and worked earlier, so my apologies if things aren't working. She did her best. I will give her that. Jen, you still there? Hopefully you guys are seeing these now. Okay, I'm going to keep it right here. Hopefully you're seeing this. If not, my apologies. All right, Jen again. Hello, Jen. Still not showing, right?
Don't share the full screen.
What? I'm looping here with you. Do not share full screen. Can you see the presentation as right now?
Mute it.
Mute it?
The share screen, but don't use the entire screen.
Myself. There we go. All right. So we have a presentation issue. My apologies, everybody. So my recommendation would be if anybody wants to in the slides, or I'm sorry, in the Q&A section, please send me your email address, and then I'll email you a copy of the presentation. So going off of my memory on the presentation, so if you look at the energy required by a grow house, there requires a lot of coordination early on with utility. They can't often just come up and give you 2 megawatts, 5 megawatts, 7 megawatts, or whatever you might need. That work could take a couple of years and a couple $1 million. So my suggestion would be is to think, long and hard about those things well in advance while you're in the design phase, while you're buying your property. In fact, once again, I mentioned a white paper that I have, and if you follow RSP Systems on LinkedIn, we'll send you a copy of the white paper, which hopefully you'll find useful. The other challenge that you have to do is you also have to look at two factors. You have to look at your average loads as well as your peak demands. So No facility ever is perfectly balanced and using everything just at the right time. So you have to, you might have for 100,000 square foot grow house, you might have a peak demand of say 5 or 7 megawatts, but you might only be using between 2 to 4 megawatts depending on time of the year and time of day. So once again, these are all factors that need to be considered. So once again, then there's also the humidification, dehumidification loads based on geography and some of those other elements. Once again, there's no cookie cutter out of the box that people always want. I talk with engineers all the time, and they'll say, "Hey, just come up with a cookie cutter approach. We have 10 grow houses going in. We just want to go pop, pop, pop." And unfortunately, that never turns out to be exactly the case because every one of them has different variances and whatnot. So that being said, what is cogeneration and how does it help? If we had the slide, that could probably be a little more dynamic for you. My apologies, but the basically is a typical application is you get electricity coming in from the grid and you use it for whatever you're doing it, maybe from heating, you get natural gas or whatever. In our case, what we do is we take natural gas, we run a generator. The generator produces a good portion of your electricity. And then with that electricity, you then use the waste heat from the engine to then supply thermal energy. You can make chilled water with it. You can run a dehumidification system with it. You can run a heating system with it. All these different elements. So the short answer is that on-site energy gives you a myriad of benefits. Cost benefits primarily, but it also has other benefits as well. You can configure these systems to basically be a backup generator. So think about a typical backup generator scenario. You've got the facility, it's running. You lose electricity from the grid, the lights go out. If you have a backup generator, it fires up within 10 seconds, all your loads come back on. Most places don't have 100% coverage of their total systems via backup generation. It's not usually the case. It's exceptionally expensive. So if you've got a 5 megawatt load, you're not going to have 5 megawatts of backup generation in many cases. So then at that point, you'd have to think about which loads do you support or not support. That's another tough challenge. If you have on-site power like we're describing, you can configure that system to also support backup energy. And the best part is it's not just electricity, but it also is a continuation of your thermal support, be it dehumidification, chilled water, heating, whatever the case may be. So you get cost advantage, you get resilience, and also I know that most grow houses have high requirements for security. So you have backup power to continue running your security systems because I know I'm in Connecticut. I know that's a major component of the developers have to make sure that that's available. The waste thermal energy also has carbon dioxide in it. And the idea of what they call carbon doping has been done for years in the tomato industry. So you can take the exhaust, you can actually direct exhaust it into the grow house and provide carbon to the plants, which will help to boost growth. So once again, it's got the advantage of not just cost effectiveness, backup power, but it can actually promote growth. A lot of places will be adding CO2 via bottles. They get CO2 bottles from Airgas or Air Liquide or whatever the case may be. In this case, you're basically getting free carbon in the form of carbon dioxide from the exhaust, from the energy, from the engine, right? In New York especially, there's a lot of trend towards electrification. And also they're talking a lot about hydrogen blending into natural gas. These systems can use natural gas that's been blended with hydrogen so that you can take advantage of that emerging industry of hydrogen markets. So think of it this way. Right now, natural gas is 100% methane. In the future, they're contemplating adding a portion of it with hydrogen that would be produced someplace else and then interjected into the pipeline. In theory, that hydrogen is carbon-free energy of a similar equivalent to methane. These engines can use that. to support combustion, and so you still get the benefits without the carbon elements. So once again, backing up and kind of taking holistically the whole concept of energy for a grow house. And once again, my apologies for the presentation. It would have been a little more helpful if you saw it as we were going through. But number one, what's the size of the grow house? Where's it going to be? What kind of crop are you growing? And what's your timeline for when you want to be in production? So let's understand that first. Two, we can then start working with you to understand all those energy-related elements, dehumidification, chilling, heating, all those other elements, and also your electric loads, average as well as peak. From there, you interact with the utility, find out what they can get you, and then you would maybe consider some on-site power. Now, in certain cases, like say, for example, you're building a grow house, and you know you can get all the lights and everything in there within the next 6 months, but it's going to take you 18 months before you can get your electricity from the utility, which is not an unreasonable amount of time and delay. Sometimes it's even longer. You could actually roll in portable electrical generators and start making electricity at the 6-month mark. Just get a gas line, hook it up to these rental units, make electricity, and I would guarantee you being able to produce a year of product while waiting for that electrical connection will probably be financially beneficial. And then what that also allows you to do is you could take that rental, go like rent to own, and then have it just stay on site and allow you the normal processing for your usual installations and piping and getting chillers and all the different things like that. So what we're suggesting here is, number one, understand your energy requirements early. Work closely with an energy consultant or a design engineer who has an understanding of the grow marketplace, the cannabis marketplace. Two, understand that energy costs are going to be a significant portion of your long-term gross margin. And energy prices are probably only going to go up. They have typically never gone down over time. The only exception was when they came up with fracking gas back a few years ago. That's one of the few times where I've seen energy prices really go down. The other elements that I think are really interesting to look at is the ability to get short-term quick power so you can get your grow house running quicker if you have a utility delay. Emerging hydrogen and decarbonization elements that I think are very important. The resilience and backup power capabilities of a system like this. So in essence, you're kind of getting a 2-for-1. You've got the unit providing you cost savings, but you also then don't have to have a similarly sized backup generator. So and that basically is often just a stranded cost that sits there just in case. So I'm at the 30-minute mark, and I'm not sure if there's any questions. I did get an email address from Kushmendu, and I will make sure I send you the slide deck. Thank you very much. And if there's any questions, feel free to pop them into the Q&A section. What I will also do, if possible, is I'll try to get the email addresses from Jen from Tri-State and get the presentation out to you. And also, I would invite you, if possible, go to RSP Systems on LinkedIn, follow us, and then we'll send you a copy of our white paper where it talks about these things in a little more detail. And I'll just wait another couple seconds here for any questions. I haven't seen anything. So, all right. I will, there's no questions. Thank you, everybody. Once again, my apologies for the IT snafu. That was not on the Tri-State Jen's fault. They did a great job getting us queued up, and for whatever reason, my slide deck wasn't coming through Google. So my apologies. Once again, Jim Koontz, thanks for your time, and hope to hear back from you. Take care.